Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, freedom fighters. How y'all doing? The non-statist of the world. What is good? Give y'all a minute to hop up in the building so that we can get this topic going. Very important topic. One that mainstream media is not going to cover, of course. They're not going to talk about this. Very few people are talking about this. And it's very important. Very important. Because we need to know why. We need to have an understanding, right? We need to have an understanding. So this is what I want to talk about, amongst a couple other things, but this was very important for me to touch on, you know what I mean? In regards to the excess deaths, I think we know, right? I think we know to a degree what the excess deaths are coming from. What is causing the excess deaths? We kind of have an inkling. We have a clue, right? And we're talking about excess deaths that have nothing to do with the thing, okay? Nothing to do with the thing. Y'all know what the thing is? The thing that they've been blaming? The thing that happened in late 2019, especially 2020, 2021, before they rolled out the thing anecdote, right? Then the thing anecdote came out, and then the thing wasn't so, wasn't thanging, and so now we got excess deaths in 2022 that essentially have nothing to do with the thing, right? So we're gonna talk about why aren't they investigating? Why aren't they trying to put this together? Why are they completely ignoring this, except for very few, government officials, particularly in the UK? They're definitely not talking about it. Our government, on the left or the right, are not talking about these excess deaths. No one is talking about it over here. The CDC ain't talking about it. You know what I mean? The Department of Health ain't talking about it. National Institute of Health, that shit that the NIH, where Scoochie, y'all know who Scoochie is. I can't say certain words. If I say any word that harkens to the thing, I'm done. It's a wrap, right? 2-week suspension. So we're going to be careful about our wording here, but we know what we're talking about. When I talk about the thing, I can't even get close to talking about what it really is, because again, the algorithm is very smart. The AI is very smart. Anyway, so why aren't they investigating, right? Why aren't they looking into this more deeply? Because this is very significant. We're talking about excess deaths. Percentage-wise, we're talking about up to 46%, 47% more deaths than would be expected, that have nothing to do with the thing, right? Nothing to do with the thing. Yet, we know what's been going on with all these athletes, all these young people, all these different people, older people, that are just like that, snap of a finger. Cardiac arrest, being found in hotel rooms, being found in apartments, being found in their homes, just drop it. 46% is a significant number of deaths. 46%, right? Particularly in Germany, I believe. I think it's Germany. Yeah, Germany. Germany in particular, 46%. And then you have Norway and Netherlands up in the double digits of percentage, right? 30%, 40, 50, 30%, 26%. In Romania actually had less deaths than normal, like 6%. But these other countries, You got countries in the Eastern Europe have less excess deaths than those in the Western Europe. Think about this. Think about that. But in Africa, you ain't getting none of that. As a matter of fact, I talked about this a few weeks ago, I think, about how Africa don't have nothing in terms of the thing, right? No things. And no thing hospitalizations, no thing test, no test. It's essentially gone. The pandemic is essentially non-existent, right? In 2022, essentially non-existent. But what was the norm in Africa, in many countries in Africa? Many leaders in Africa wasn't fucking with the thing juice. All right, wasn't fucking with the thing juice, right? But they pushed it heavily here in the United States and in Europe. And in the United States, there's excess deaths. But I don't even really know the percentage because they're not really talking about it. They stopped talking about that shit because they couldn't tie it to the thing. They couldn't tie it to the thing, just like they can't tie, like, and it came out how the thing, even in the beginning, when people were hospitalized with the thing and dying with the thing, they finally admitted, yo, this was particularly that Leana Wen or whatever fucking name is, that Asian, health expert that goes on these news stations. How, yeah, people were dying supposedly with the thing, but not from the thing. Even though when it started and they had the death map, right? Remember that oh so gruesome, that oh so ominous and dreadful and depressing death map. We're showing so many deaths from the thing, and then they finally admitted this last year. Yo, this essentially just you had the thing. We just had to, what came down from the shit. I don't even know if I want to say that organization, right? Third letter, fourth letter, third letter. Third letter, fourth letter, third letter organization. They put down the protocol, the death protocol, the death certificate protocols. If this motherfucker died, even if you think they had the thing, you're still going to have to tie that death to the thing according to the third letter, fourth letter, third letter organization. And this is something I was talking about in early 2020, to mid 2020, when I was talking about, when I did the research and I showed the statistics, and I talked about how they were reporting the deaths, right, from the third letter, fourth letter, third letter website, how essentially it was down to about 6%. 6% of the deaths that they tied broadly to the thing actually were from directly the thing. You see what I'm saying? 6% of those deaths that they reported, because they had it broken down in a chart. If you died with it, you died from it. They had different little parameters, how many comorbidities you had, all those things factored into what they considered to be a thing death. Yet what happened, right? Why did they report that it was so many deaths when you could go to the CDC website? There, I said CDC. Oh, you go to the CDC website and see that the thing caused. But when it came to YouTube and these different so-called platforms that people were speaking on it on Android, here we go with the buffering, I believe. Did we buffer? By the way, just do a little housekeeping. Shout out to I think I saw Black Spring with Autumn in the building. I haven't seen you in a minute. Shout out to you. But even back then, right? They had a lot of excess deaths back in 2020. But what were most of them from? Most of those excess deaths came from, drug overdoses, suicide, depression, all these other different things that were attributed, that the deaths were attributed to. Excess deaths. Due to what? Due to down locks, right? Due to down locks, due to businesses being destroyed, due to people losing their livelihood, losing their jobs because they were forced to be down locked. I mean, come on. Come on. We were talking about this way back when. But now, in 2022, we have much more excess death, right? Due to what? I think we have an idea. And at what point do we go from trying to determine if correlation equals causation, right? What is the protocol? Because I know that there is protocol in the healthcare industry, right? In these organizations that call themselves so-called public health organizations. They have a way to find out if there's a cause based on certain parameters being met, based on certain criteria being met. Like, okay, so if these excess deaths occurred after the certain situation started, right? And it has to happen across many different places at around the same time, right? That's another criteria. There's several criteria that has to be met, and you can investigate these things. What did this happen after this consistently? Is it happening on a broad scale at around the same time? These are things that they can find out. These are things they can look into, but they're not doing it. They're not doing the investigations. They're not doing the research. They're not looking into what could possibly, because isn't it, I mean, does this not, is this not important enough? These excess deaths? Don't we want to know, like, why are so many more people dying after a certain thing has been pushed on to the people? And many people, they say they fell victim to the manipulation. They fell victim to the coercion. They fell victim to the ultimatums and the this and the that. And you're going to get fired, or you're going to you can't travel. All these different things. If you don't do it, if you don't get this thing, if you don't have this certain thing happen to you, you can lose out on a lot. So a lot of people did it not because they felt like it would protect them, but because they did not want to lose their jobs. They did not want to be on down lock anymore. They didn't want any of those things to happen to them. So many people, they didn't do it for health reasons. No, they did it because they wanted to participate. They wanted to play that little sports game. They wanted to play soccer. They wanted to play football. They wanted to play basketball. They wanted to go to the hospital and work as a nurse. They wanted to go to the hospital and work as a doctor. They wanted to continue to do their job. They wanted to continue to live their life as a somewhat free individual. They did it. They did the thing. And now you have what? You have these different things going on where people are dying in a certain particular way, where a certain thing that pumps something is stopping or is being inflamed by something, some fiber, I can't really get into it, but those things are happening at a rate that's very alarming, right? But hey, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to investigate. We don't want to find out why. We just want to sit around and act like, hey man, Sometimes people die. Sometimes there's excess deaths. Sometimes this happens. Sometimes that happens. And you still have, even though the efficacy of a certain thing is in question, have been proven, not even in question, a certain thing has been proven not to be effective at stopping a certain thing, but in particular in Europe, where a particular company had a certain thing that was considered to be possibly dangerous, was removed and suspended and completely stopped by many countries in Europe. Yet the whip hoe ostrich, I can't even say the letters. Think about it. The first letter of whip, the first letter of hoe, the first letter of ostrich. Okay, that organization, the whip hoe ostrich organization, the whip hoe organization, right, still says it's safe and effective. You see what I'm saying? And guess who YouTube uses as a means to determine whether someone's channel gets struck? If you go against what the whip hoe organization says about a certain thing, your channel gets goddamn destroyed. What? Like, come on, man. Why is the whip hoe organization talking about it's safe and effective when there were certain clots of a certain substance that goes through certain vessels that goes throughout the corporeal form of an individual? I hope y'all understand what I just said. The clotting of a substance that goes through the vessel throughout the corporeal form of an individual. See how ridiculous you got to get? I mean, wow, right? The clotting. Known to cause the clotting, but it's safe and effective, even though we know it doesn't stop the transmission. But no, it's still safe and effective. So as long as they have that on the Whip Hoe organization website, as long as the Whip Hoe organization is still talking about this and that and the third, and you can't talk about it. Can't talk. Even if the even if the even if the third letter, fourth letter, third letter organization says differently than the Whip Hoe organization, right? You still can't say, you can't even say what the third letter, fourth letter, third letter says on YouTube. You gotta go with the Whip Hoe organization. But the Whip Hoe organization, they talking about the excess deaths outside of that thing that, you know, they say caused a certain thing to happen in 2020. Can't talk about it. But why aren't they investigated? Well, because they don't want people to stop. They want people to get third, fourth, fifth, seventh, eighth yearly. You know, what can I say for this? Updates, upgrades, whatever. They want people to continue to get these you know, these things you know, ingested within them. They want them to continue to do that, because if you actually did an investigation and discovered certain things about these things, right? That especially, you know, we got information coming out from Pfizer, right? From Pfizer, talking about adverse effects, but it's slowly rolling out, right? They were trying to roll it out They were trying to take 75 years to roll out all the information. Shit. But you got the FISR, right? And we know FISR is a criminal organization. So they want people to, because they trust me, they've been convicted of criminal activity. They've been sued for criminal activity that caused harm to people. Actual harm, like destroyed lives, ended lives. And they still wanna, it's still out there, right? The substance that they push is still out there, and maybe that's why they're not investigating, because they want people to continue to get this substance absorbed into them, if you get my meaning. That's why, if you ask me, they want you to, because like I said, if they investigate and they discover certain things and they put things together, and then of course these are public organizations, these are government organizations, right? They have to put out this information. They have to showcase what this information determines, what this investigation determines. If the investigation determines that no, this substance is not causing excess deaths, they would have to put that out. If they discover, hey, these excess deaths are due to this substance, they have to put that out. And if they put that out, guess what? They have to end it. They have to end the program. They have to end it. They have to stop it, because if they don't, they're gonna have big problems, right? They're gonna have huge problems. I remember Donald Trump did a interview with Candace Owens. And Candace Owens, she asked a little pity pat question about the substance, which he was a huge advocate for. Donald Trump, right, would have you believe that he's single-handedly responsible for this substance being out here so fast, right? But would he also take the responsibility for the excess deaths if it turns out that, hey, the thang juice is responsible for these excess deaths, these sudden heart stoppages, all this, that, and the third? People, would he take responsibility for that? Because what did he tell Candace Owens? He said, the substance is not doing anything to people. It's great. It's not causing any type of anything but positive shit. We know that's not true. We know it's not true. We know it's not true. But if we find out that, hey, it's beyond that. It's beyond that. Because, if you dibble dabble and partake in certain things, yeah, there's going to be adverse effects with a lot of shit. But to the degree that certain countries are having the excess deaths of 30-something%, 40-something%, 26%, 10%, 13%, based on that, I mean, we're talking about, that's a huge number. 46%, 13%, 20%, those are huge numbers. We're not talking about like, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5%. We're talking about double-digit percentages. That's a huge deal. And Donald Trump, well, he would have to eat that. He would have to swallow that. He would have to take responsibility for that. Right? At least here in the United States. He can't control what they do in the UK or in the EU. Right? But at least here in the United States, he'd have to be held responsible. And what's funny is Kamala Harris, all these different, like I was saying, back? Am I back? So yeah, I mean, president. I mean, the lefties, they were talking mad shit about the Donald Trump substance. They're saying, "Oh, I'm not getting that substance. Oh hell no, you got me fucked up." So I don't want no parts of that. But as soon as Biden became president, you know, they had to hop on the program. We had to hop on the program to push the substance, and they quickly went from, oh well, you know, if you we're not going to force people to take the substance, but if you want to take the substance, that's on you. It went from that to nah, y'all, it's the what they say it was. I gotta be careful with word I use. It's the pandemic of the non-GMO, right? If you weren't GMO and people were still getting sick, then it was the pandemic of the GMO, the non-GMO people. The non-GMO people were causing the GMO people to get sick and be hospitalized and all that shit and die. It was the non-GMO people's burden to bear. Quickly went from, oh, I ain't taking that. Trump had his hands in that. I don't want no parts of that. How quickly the tune changed when they got in power. So, I posit that the reason excess deaths are not being investigated is because they don't need to investigate it. They already know why the excess deaths are there. They know already. They already have the cause. That's what I believe. They know why. They just don't want to do nothing about it. They don't want to tell us. They don't want to make the official statements. They don't want to, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to do the right thing by the people that they're extorting, right? They don't serve us. They just take our money. They take our lands. They take control of us, right? They control us. They try to tell us what we can and cannot do. And, we better be happy about it, so they're not going to actually do the right thing by the people. They're just going to continue to extort us and to control us. Extort and control, extort and kill, all these different things, man. But that's the way of the government. That's the way of government. I mean, that's just what it is. So that is, in my mind, why they don't want to investigate the excess deaths, because they already know. They don't need to. They have the data. They have the data. They have the data. They have the information. The information from Pfizer, the information from the European version of Pfizer that were causing the clots. They have that. They have all the data. These people, you have to understand, these organizations work in conjunction with our government because they get government money. The government paid these people to do this shit. You think they don't know? Well, actually, we paid them. The government just took our money to pay them with. That's how it works. But yeah, our illustrious and benevolent government paid these people to put this out there, to formulate it, to do this, to test it, to do the research, to do the studies that still have to be done, by the way. Still more studies have to be done. I remember I talked about one time how they had to do, they were in order to go from emergency use to normal usage, they would have to investigate a certain thing that were happening to newborns and mothers, right? That took the substance. They know, trust me, these people know. They don't need to investigate. I mean, they can investigate further, of course. They can make sure that the evidence is solid, that there's no question. They can ensure that, right? They can do more to do that. But trust me, they already know. They already know. They just don't want us to know. They think we're stupid. They want us to think that, it has to do with eggs. Eggs are causing these well, they're not saying that, but they'll put shit out like, oh, eggs might be causing blood clots and this, that, and the third. Global warming. What else? They try to tie it to other shit. Oh, it's because of carbon emissions. Yeah, carbon emissions. That's what they do. It's bullshit. But anyway, I just wanted to come and give my 2 cents on that. What I believe is, why I believe that they're not investigating excess deaths, because they want them to continue. That's what I believe. They want them to continue. This was the whole point behind this. That was and that's also something that a lot of people talked about, including myself, about this whole, control of the population control, right? What did Bill Gates say in that TED Talk? Remember what he said in that TED Talk? And everybody was blowing it off like, oh, here go the conspiracy theorists, right? But what he talked about, how he wanted this substance in order to bring that down to 10%. The CO2, right? Which is basically human beings. Trust me, when they talk about carbon, they're talking about living people, or living things, living beings. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about when they want to reduce the carbon footprint, they're talking about humans, okay? Because we're carbon-based. Living beings are carbon-based. And so that's what they're talking about. When he's talking about reducing it to 10%, what he's talking about and using that substance, we put more of this substance out here to reduce it to 10%. Well, you don't give cars the substance, right? When you talk about CO2, when you talk about carbon emissions, you don't give cars and you don't give cars the substance, right? You give living beings the substance. So when he says, in order to do so, we need to push out and administer more substances. What else could he be talking about? And guess what? His dream is coming true to a degree. We're not going down to 10%, right? Not with the substance that they have now, but trust me, they're working on it. This was a test. A test to see how many people would actually voluntarily, to a degree, right? Because really it's not voluntary if they're coercing you, right? That's not a real choice, That's not, when you're given a choice between a negative and a negative, or what you perceive to be a negative and a negative, when you're given a choice between only certain things that you don't want to do, well, that's not a real choice, right? You're choosing your demise either way. You're choosing a negative adverse effect. That's what you're choosing. When you choose one or the other, it's still going to turn out to be a bad outcome, and it's not something that you want. That's not a real choice. That's a false choice. They want you to believe it's a choice. That's like these clowns saying slavery was a choice, which is bullshit, right? Become a slave or die. What kind of choices are those? Be a slave, be buck broken, or watch us R-word your children and your like what? Those aren't choices. So when we talk about choice, that's not what it is. No, it's not choice. You didn't choose either one. You're just being forced to, it's crazy how people think. But anyway, that's all I got for now, y'all. We gonna keep it rolling though, man. I can see things working out for the better, because a lot of people are actually waking up They're not falling for the okie doke as much as they were. They're seeing they're seeing shit happen that we have been talking about. They are finally coming around. People are waking up, man. People are waking up. But you can't just wake up, right? You can't just wake up. You have to wake up and be ready. You have to wake up and be ready to fight. You have to wake up and be ready to resist. Wake up and be ready to defend your freedoms, defend your autonomy, defend your privacy. And it's going to be a hard-won fight, right? But they're going to heap on as much as they can, especially with this this Nord Stream pipeline shit. You know, the blowing up of the Nord Stream pipeline. How that's if the United States and Germany had anything to do with the Nord Stream pipeline being blown up, that is an act of war, right? And of course, and be like, no, what are you talking about? Even though Joe Biden said it, Victoria Nuland said it, they said it. If Russia invades, and they wanted them to invade, if Russia invades, then the Nord Stream pipeline is going bye-bye. It's going bye-bye. They're not going to have a Nord Stream pipeline anymore. That's what they said. And then what happened? Well, the Nord Stream pipeline got blown up. That's an act of war. So if it is determined definitively that the United States and Germany had anything to do with that, or any other country, any other NATO country had anything to do with that, if Russia had the balls, if Putin had the balls, they could definitely bring us into World War III. If they had the balls, if they feel like they go against NATO, because and then remember, if that happens, what happens in Taiwan? What happens in Taiwan if we get dragged into World War III? Well, China's going to invade Taiwan. That's just the bottom line to it. They're going to invade Taiwan. And not only are they going to be able to invade Taiwan, see, the Chinese military isn't necessarily spread so thin, so they can invade Taiwan and come to the aid of Russia, and Iran can jump in, and North Korea can jump in, and oh my goodness, it's gonna be on and popping, yo. And don't think that conscription won't be cracking either. We talking about conscription at that point. They're not gonna give a hot damn about no goddamn nothing, right? The draft, it can come back like that. They will bring that draft back. Believe that to retrieve that. So, understand. Listen, man. Like I said, be ready. Wake up. And be ready to, be ready to bang it out. You know what I'm saying? And then, if we get dragged into World War III, and let's say China gets a wild hair up their ass and they want to invade the United States, I mean, we're gonna have to be strategic about shit. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to think. We're gonna have to really think about that type of shit. We're gonna have to really think about it, because, woo, we might have our enemies within this country, within the elite class that are involved with government. But if China try to come through here, North Korea try to come through here, I mean, we're gonna have to be like, you know what? We're gonna have to put this aside, man, because you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want China up in here. You don't want China. You don't want Russia up in here. You don't want them motherfuckers. You think our government is bad. You think our government is tyrannical. You think our government is oppressive. Understand. And here's the thing. Here's the thing that people don't understand about the practicality of anarchy, right? They think that if you're an anarchist, you just throw all caution to wind. Anybody can do what they want. No, no. You still have to be pragmatic, right? You still have to be sensible. So let's say you live in an anarchistic society, and we live in this country. Like, let's say that somehow, some way, I don't know how, I don't know what way, we become an anarchistic or voluntarist society or country where, people have more autonomy, communities have autonomy, all this, that, and the third. Will we just have open borders? Do we have open borders in a voluntarist society within the United States? No, we cannot have an open border, right? Even though ideally you want there to be open borders, but in order for that to work, everybody in the world has to have the same philosophy. Every country in the world has to have the same philosophy. And it's a simple philosophy. The mind your own goddamn business philosophy. The mind your business philosophy. And if you want anything to do with anything that we got going on over here, well, you're going to have to negotiate. We're going to have to negotiate on terms. We're going to have to, okay, you want something from us? What you got to offer, right? You're not just going to come up in here and think you're just going to conquer and take shit. No. What do you have to offer? You know what I'm saying? Because even though within the border is voluntarist, you got different societies that govern the way they want to do what they want to do. And we have, all the communities and all the societies within our country. We have a treaty and we have an understanding like, look, y'all do what y'all do over there. As long as you ain't doing some crazy shit, don't bring that shit over here, right? Do your thing over there in your little community, in your little village, your little whatever, and we'll do our thing. You mind your business, we mind our business, but we have a coalition of sorts to where, okay, we still need a military. We still need that. We still need a military, right? Because we're going to have to defend our country from foreign invaders. That's just the bottom line to it. So we're going to have something like that. And you can't just have open borders. You just can't. Not now. It's too late. Like, they didn't already, we already created so many enemies all over the world that it'd be impossible to just have open borders and expect our society to be free and all that shit, to remain free. No, we're not hippies over here. You understand what I'm saying? No, we have to have that understanding. So that's what it is, right? That's what it is. If you want freedom, you have to work painstakingly and constantly, consistently to maintain that freedom, to defend that freedom. You can't. It's not just going to stay that way unless you fight to keep it that way, right? Because people are always going to be coming for you. People are always going to want what you have. And understand that the United States is rich in resources, right? It's rich in resources, not as much as Africa, but it's rich in resources, right? It's resource rich. And there's plenty of land, farmable land. It's so much farmable land in this country that is more than enough for the people in this country. So understand, why do you think these different countries are investing and buying land over here, right? You got China, Canada. You have all different countries with organizations buying land over here. So trust me, if things were as it should be in this country where we had true, unadulterated freedom, right? Very limited, I'm talking about extremely limited government, to where if you have a government in this community, y'all want that? Hey, as long as the people within that community voluntarily participate to that government, or participate in that structure, or participate in that realm, you good. You know, you can have your little government over there. If y'all want to have that, y'all want to have a king, y'all want to have motherfucking, y'all want to have president, y'all want to have have what you want, as long as it's of your free will. You have the option to say, hey, I don't like this. I'm gonna go over here where it's completely libertarian, or I want to go over here where it's completely motherfucking anarchistic, or I want to go over here where it's more communal and socialist and all this other shit. You can, hey, have at it if that's what you sign up for. But understand that if our country is like that, people they're going to try to take advantage. They're going to be like, oh, they're all broken up, they're all discombobulated, they're all fractured. We can go over there and do what we want. That's why we would still need a military on a voluntary basis. But understand, once you are in that military, it's going to be very disciplined and well regulated, right? It's going to be much like the military we have now. It's very effective. Once you sign up, you know what you're signing up for. And unfortunately, it has to be like that. I don't like it like that, but unfortunately, that's what it would have to be. Because we would need people in there that would be disciplined. They would have to be able to take orders. There had to be a chain of command. There had to be a command structure. You know what I'm saying? In order for it to be cohesive, right, and strategic, you got to have strategy. You got to be tactical, and you got to have structure. In order for that to happen, people have to fall in place and fall in. And it has to be that way. And I understand that as an anarchist and a veteran. I understand in certain situations you have to be disciplined. You have to have that strict command structure. You have to have that strict, chain of command. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to be easily defeated. So with that, that's all I got for now, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the little stream here. And trust me, they're not investigating because they already know what these excess deaths are coming from. And they want them to continue. This is just my opinion. And this is part of the agenda. Bill Gates talked about it. All these people have talked about it. So much love, you guys. I can read a couple comments and I'm out of here. Black Spring Autumn says, "You running hot, TDOA. Keep it coming. The border is the other piece." Exactly. Snap, if you still have my number, please send me yours. Ask someone to send you. Okay, I got you. I think I still have your number. I appreciate the encouragement, Black Spring Autumn. The interview with Lady CO was watered down, soft gloves. Yeah. She is triangulated with controlled opposition. Of course she is. They mandated it for kids. JD1459. How you doing? Oh yeah, to protect Big Pharma, exactly. And that's why do you think you can't sue these motherfuckers, man? They covered their ass before they even rolled the shit out. Oh, I'm always safe on the road, Stucky. Thank you. I appreciate the concern. I appreciate it because it is it is the road, right? A lot of people driving around. Fellow mods, all in. How you doing? Lenny says good morning from Tennessee. Yep. I'm actually about 20 minutes south of Tennessee right now. Tina Hartman, how you doing? Anyway, much love, guys. Thank you for coming through. And let's keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.